Welcome back to another tabletop review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Ruger LCP II 22 long rifle Lite Rack semi-automatic pistol. Well, here we are again with another Ruger review. In fact, another Ruger LCP review. Only this one is the LCP II, a 22 long rifle version of the popular Ruger 380 lightweight compact pistol. If you watched my earlier videos, you know that I've owned a couple of these pistols. I had one of the very first LCPs, which I eventually traded for the newer LCP II version with better ergonomics and a much better trigger. The Ruger LCP II 380 makes for an excellent pocket pistol, very light, very small, and compact. So when I saw this 22 version of the same pistol, I was interested. And at only about $300, I thought it could be a good training tool. I like 22s. I've got a bunch of them. Some of the really small ones aren't the most accurate guns, but Ruger usually makes pretty good products. So the question is, does this Ruger LCP II 22 live up to the Ruger standards? Now before I get into that, let's make sure this gun is cleared first. By the way, if you enjoy this review, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. The Ruger Company is the largest U.S. firearms manufacturer. It's been producing firearms since 1949. And for the past 12 years, Ruger has had a winning design for a 380 micro pistol. With its pleasing design, yet low cost, well-known reliability, 6+1 round capacity, unloaded weight of just over 10 ounces, and a thickness of just over 3/4 of an inch, there's little doubt about the Ruger LCP 380. It's been one of the most popular small pocket handguns ever made. The original version of the Ruger LCP 380 was released in 2008, and it's been popular as Ruger selling over 1.5 million of these little pistols would attest. But not everything about the original LCP was liked by everyone. I'm sorry to put it so bluntly, but the trigger was just plain awful. It had a long trigger pull, sights were too small, and accuracy and comfort were also a challenge. So much so that I actually dreaded taking it to the range for practice. Ruger was quite aware of the LCP shortcomings, so in 2017 Ruger released its improved LCP II with a superior trigger, improved ergonomics, larger, more effective sights, last shot hold open, and a slide release. A huge improvement over the previous model. And this new model has been so successful, it's not surprising that Ruger took a step further in producing a 22 version. And here it is, the Ruger LCP II Lite Rack 22, one of the most discreet micro pistols in the world. Although my 380 has a built-in laser and I've added a Hogue sleeve grip to it, otherwise, in looks and function, the Ruger LCP II Lite Rack 22 and the LCP II 380 are very similar. Just looking at the two here, the only glaring difference would appear to be the addition of the safety on the 22, and it's of course 22 caliber. But since this is a 22 pistol and the other is a 380, there are going to be some obvious differences internally as well. As for packaging, Ruger ships its LCP Lite Rack 22 in the conventional cardboard box. It has the manual and other paperwork. Comes with only one magazine. Has a magazine loader, a nylon holster, which is actually pretty good, and of course it has the lock. And I was able to pick up an additional magazine for only about $25. As for specification, the Ruger LCP II Lite Rack pistol is a single action pistol. The barrel is stainless steel, 2.75 inches in length. The slide is alloy steel. There's a manual safety push type. There's a magazine disconnect. The trigger is a secure action safety controlled trigger. The sights are fixed front and rear. Overall length is 5.2 inches. Overall height is 4 inches. Thickness is 0.81 inches at the slide. The magazine is 10+1. Only one magazine is included. Additional magazines can be purchased for about $25. The sights are serrated on the back sides, both on the front and the rear. The weight overall unloaded is 11.2 ounces. When talking about function, this is probably a good place as any to point out some of the differences between the 380 and the 22 model of the Ruger LCP II. The magazine releases are the same, and the mag comes flying out upon release as it should. However, loading the 10-round 22 magazine presents you with unusually sharp edges and a lack of a load assist knob that you might find on many 22 magazines. Ruger may have anticipated this issue when they included that mag loader with the gun. It works fine, but it's a poor substitute for a load assist knob on the magazine itself. However, 10 rounds of CCI mini mags loaded very easily into sort of a double stack type of fashion into the short magazine. Very clever. Racking the slide on the Lite Rack 22 is truly the lightest slide I've ever handled. The slide on the 380 model is very light, but the 22 LCP is noticeably lighter yet. Although it felt a little gritty, the serrations on the 22 provide a little wider serrations on the rear of the slide to assist with grip. Very nice. Loading the magazine with some dummy rounds. The first round loaded into the battery smoothly. Like the 380 model, the 22 provides good stippling on the back, on the front, on the side grip areas. But the gun is very small, so you're likely only to get 2 fingers around the grip. The sights are actually a little larger on the 22, but they're still just black on black like the 380 model. And also like the 380, the front and the rear sights have a serrated face on them, so they should hold a dab of white paint if you choose. Of course, the 22 has the addition of a safety that is pushed forward to release. It's stiff and sure, but I found it a bit awkward to release in a smooth motion even after practicing. Resetting the safety is even stiffer. I will say the safety has been getting easier with use. This is a single action firearm. Once charged with the safety off, the trigger take-up is a good 1/2 inch with about a 5.5 pound pull through a short 1/8 inch wall to firing. Reset is about a 1/4 inch with a crisp click. It's actually a very nice trigger. Perhaps even a little better than on the 380 version. You'll notice the pleasant lack of recoil with this 22 LCP compared to the pounding you get with the 380 LCP with its small square grips. The 22 actually is more comfortable to shoot than you might expect. Don't get me wrong, firing CCI mini mags with these small square grips, even though it's only a 22, you do feel it. With a 5.5 inch target set at my usual pistol training distance of 25 feet, I was able to keep 10 rounds on target through 2 magazines of CCI mini mags. No problem. I then switched to a silhouette target, again at 25 feet, and CCI standard velocity rounds to see how they perform. Ruger's recommendation is for hotter ammo. Unfortunately, the standard velocity ammo would not cycle reliably. Just too many failures to cycle. I went back to the mini mag rounds and the gun seemed to function just fine. As for accuracy, I was easily able to maintain a respectfully tight grouping given this very small pistol and short barrel. I'd suggest that the nice stippling on the grips as well as the light trigger pull and shooting 22 rounds with minimal recoil and muzzle flip contributed to my accuracy. By the way, before I took this gun to the range, I installed a trigger guard mounted laser system. The system is a green laser max system, but since I usually train without the laser on, it's off during this filming. As for cons, from my experience, the Ruger LCP 222 is ammo finicky and needs to be kept clean and oiled to function properly. Ruger suggests hotter ammo like CCI Mini Mag 40 grains with velocities of about 12-35 feet per second. I found Federal 40 grain at 12-40 feet per second and Winchester Super X 37 grain at 13-30 feet per second also ran okay, but CCI standard rounds at 10-70 feet per second resulted in many failures to cycle. Also, as the gun got dirtier, even after only 100 rounds, misfires and failures to cycle increased. Usually up to 100 rounds the gun seemed to run okay. Lubing it up with a little CLP would extend things a bit, but not much. And I found this was not unique to my experience. I've heard quite a few reviews with similar results. I've also been told that the LCP 222 should handle ammo better as it gets broke in. And of course, the sharp edges on the magazine will provide an unpleasant experience when trying to load the magazine by hand. The use of a mag loader certainly helps, but it's a nuisance for loading 22 mags. A loading knob would have made a huge difference. Another con is the safety. I'm not impressed with its function at all. The push function is awkward and stiff, and the internal magazine safety won't please many. Remove the magazine and the gun can't be fired. And while the sights might be larger than on the 380, they're still small and all black. As for pros, 10+1 rounds in such a small pistol is very clever and certainly raises this little gun into a class of higher potential effectiveness. It has a snag-free design for easy carry and use. The lever-type trigger safety is very nice and highly practical. And Ruger's Lite Rack system, with its lightened recoil spring and pronounced cocking ears at the rear of the slide, makes this gun the easiest gun to rack that you'll probably ever find. And like the 380 LCP II, the slide locks back on an empty magazine. It also helps that Ruger LCP is so well supported. Options and upgrades are plentiful. And while small, even with only 2-finger grips, this little gun's grips provide a pretty good amount of controllability, and which, if you have large hands like mine, could be improved and made more comfortable to shoot with the addition of a Hogue hand-all grip sleeve for the LCP. It also helps that the Ruger LCP II Rack-Lite 22 is so similar to its 380 bigger brother that it could be reasonably seen as a good trainer pistol for the 380. And at about $300, the LCP II 22 is affordable. And the fact that you can add a trigger guard mounted touch-activated laser system for between $100 to $150, this Ruger LCP 222 can be upgraded to a pretty sophisticated weapon without breaking the bank. It's very, very nice. Disassembly of the LCP 222 is the same as the 380 bigger brother. We're going to remove the magazine, make sure the gun is unloaded, and then we're going to pop this little pin out. Just going to use a screwdriver just to pop it up, and then remove the pin. Once the pin's removed, you can remove the slide and the spring and rod and the barrel, and that's it. Reassembly is just the opposite. We're going to return the barrel to the slide and the spring and rod to the slide as well. And then the slide can be returned to the frame. And the pin can then be returned. And that's it. As for cost, the manufacturer suggested retail price of the Ruger LCP II Lite Rack 22 is $409, but actual sales are closer to $325. I've even seen sales as low as just under $300. Now, before we end today's video, I'd like to remind you, if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe down below. And thanks for watching. Well, in summary, this is a very small and very lightweight discrete .22 pistol with a 10 plus 1 round capacity that's easy to operate, easy to carry, and shoot surprisingly accurately for its size. It's not necessarily a pretty gun, but it doesn't need to be. It's functional and practical. And with a price tag of only about $300, is within reach of most people looking for a good little 22. Even additional magazines are reasonably priced, and with the LCP's popularity and so many LCPs already produced, you can expect plenty of upgrade options and good support well into the future. But does the Ruger LCP II Lite Rack 22 live up to the Ruger reputation? Well, honestly, I'm not necessarily sure that's the case. And why? Because although well designed and constructed, the Ruger LCP II Lite Rack 22 is ammo finicky, and I can't say it's a highly reliable gun even with the right ammo. I don't think this is a minor issue, but it's a 22, and many 22s share that issue. When I've had concerns about 22s by Ruger in the past, like the 10-22 rifle or the Mark IV pistol, it's been related to magazine function. So I'm not surprised about the LCP 22's magazine sharp edges. For whatever reason, Ruger seems to drop the ball sometimes when it comes to its magazines. Also, I'm not a big fan of the 22 as a defensive round. But being realistic, I know that there are many out there that see this little pistol as a good choice for carry. I agree, 10 rounds of 22 placed properly can be very effective. And yes, I know that for some people with diminishing hand strength, this LCP 22 is still manageable. And yes, it's better than nothing, and because of its small, slim size and ease of operation, it does satisfy, for many, my first criteria of a carry weapon, that you actually carry it. If that's your plan, my recommendations are: select the right ammo, keep it clean, well-oiled, and practice with it frequently. Shot placement will be critical. Also, if you're going to carry this firearm with a round in the chamber and ready to fire, and especially if you aren't going to use a rigid holster that completely protects the trigger, then a manual safety is an absolute must. It's the only safe way to carry it. As for mine, I decided to add a Laser Max and Green Touch activated trigger guard laser. Like my LCP 380, I also added Hogue grip sleeve, which really provides a better fit for my large hands. Okay, wrapping up, I'll admit I like this little gun. I was impressed with its bigger brother, the Ruger 380 LCP II, and for the most part, this Lite Rack 22 didn't disappoint me enough to not give it a good rating. Sure, I would have liked a better magazine loading experience and a less finicky, more reliable ammo shooting experience and a better thumb safety, but as a package, this Lite Rack 22 is still a pretty cool little gun. It's also easy to manage and shoot well. I've even taken to carrying it a bit as a backup gun. The LCP Lite Rack 22 is hard to beat for being lightweight, slim, and comfortable, but I've also found that it's also a heck of a lot of fun for just a day at the range. Any weapon you carry is better than the one you left at home. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll be back for my next tabletop review. Until next time, stay safe.